Welcome back to Making a Major. This is episode 4 of the Post-Mortem for the 2023 Outland Empire USPSA Level 2. At this rate, I'm 4 episodes in, and I'm realizing that this is going to be a little bit of a lengthier series. I thought this was going to be 3 separate videos, but I kind of ramble a little bit, and talking about things is important, so I'm gonna make it as the series is gonna be as long as it needs to be. So we were talking about what sort of things I got called for as the RM. So I got called down to Bay 9. This would be stage 10 on the left, stage 11 on the right. At the match, stage 11 was actually back here, and we shot stage 11 first, moved over, shot stage 10, and that's just kind of how it was. So first call I got called for, I just got called for a few like rules questions, you know, random things where people are like, oh, what if I do this, what if I do this, what if this happens. Got called for a few of those. I think I got called for a calibration once. Okay, do the thing. And then I got called for a scoring call. So this one was interesting, just as like process. It's nice for people to kind of see what happens when an RM rolls up to do a scoring call. So in this case, competitor had nicked, he put a Charlie right here, and then outside the perf here, there was a little bit of a grease ring, right? And there was good amount of distance between the grease ring. So at this rate, I don't know who it is. I don't care who it is. I roll up to the target, like I roll up to the ROs. I'm like, hey, what's up? And they go, oh, we need you to score a shot. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, let's look at the target. Perfect. And then obviously the competitor is basically just standing next to me. So like I turn around, I'm like, who's the competitor? And I'm basically staring him in the face. And he goes, oh, that was me. I'm like, what caliber? He goes, 40. Perfect. That's all I need to know from the competitor. I don't need to engage them any more than that for now. So I go up to the target and I see nice solid hole, edge hit. Cool. So I take my overlay, and the first thing I do is I overlay the clean hole. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to form a picture of what that grease ring is supposed to look like in my overlay, right? So I look, I'm like, okay, the full grease ring is touching the inside of the black line. So like it's not smaller and there's edge between the grease ring and the black line. It's a full. And I look at the bottom target, I'm like, yeah, same deal. Cool. So this is what I'm looking for in terms of hits. So then I go up, and I go up to the top target, and I start bringing that overlay down until the curve of the grease ring meets the curve of the overlay. And I bring it further down, and suddenly like the curve of the grease ring is above the curve of the overlay. And so what I was trying to do was see like where actually was this bullet in height, and then I do the same thing kind of left to right until both curves match up. I'm like, okay, so this is where that bullet is. And then I kind of held it in place. I took the second overlay and I put it on the perf, the top of the perf, the most outside portion of the perf. Just to, I mean, at this rate, I can see like 1/8 of an inch between the black of the overlay and the perf. But do my due diligence, and I kind of overlay it, and I'm like, I kind of lean over so that the shooter can see it too from where I was looking. So they're basically looking over my shoulder. I kind of do one of these so they can see it, and then I call a mic. And I tried to do as much wiggling around as much as I could to make it not a mic, but it was definitely a mic. So I go, Charlie mic. Cool. And that's it. They do the thing and they walk away. Now here's an interesting bit. As I was walking away, somebody else goes, somebody like comes up to me and asks me about this. He's like, what did he say? I was like, I can't believe you didn't make more fuss about how stupid of a call it was to call you for that scoring hit, because it was very far outside. Like, Hail Mary, call the RM, hopefully they walk back what the CRO called. That sort of thing. And like, in my mind, I turned to the RO, or that wasn't the RO, it was just a competitor. I turned to him, I'm like, hey man, my job is to score it for anybody. Like, I don't care if it's like not even on the target. Like, my job is to apply the process and to be fair and do it nicely. Like, okay, yeah, it was out of the way, but you know, I'm happy that I got called to do my job rather than some argument that happened. Which, next topic. We had a competitor that got called for a foot fault where they had their foot somewhere here. And they got called because, I mean, they fired a shot and RO called a foot fault. So there's a few learnings here. As the day enveloped, like, I found out forever later, like an hour or two later about it. And what peeved me off was a competitor bitching about the quality of ROing on the socials. And I hadn't even heard about it. Nobody had come to me, nobody had complained to me, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, stop shitting on my ROs. Obviously, I didn't, like, go and confront because that's not what I'm supposed to do. Like, no. So I actually went and I started talking with the ROs. We had a lengthy conversation, and so we talked about positioning, which RO's doing what, where the foot is, that whole thing. As it had turned out, the RO that called the foot fault was the timer person, and he was looking down here and not at the gun. That's a lesson to be learned, and as the RM, my job is to correct the ROs. Be like, hey, so your tablet guy is actually supposed to be the one looking down here. You're supposed to be looking at the gun. It's good that you saw it, but your focus should not be down here. Your focus should be here. And that's just RO experience. That's the two ROs working together, figuring out like how they're going to handle things. And that's just kind of how it happened. The other RO was busy scoring one of the other targets, so he wasn't explicitly watching down here. And so the timer RO was like, I need to keep an eye on there because this lean here was a lot harder than it looks. And we'll talk about leans in a second. But basically what happened is they called the foot fault, and really, like, I ended up like looking at the competitor's video because I can and I'm allowed to. I can't use it to score, but I can at least look for educational purposes, and I did. And in real time, boy, was that a foot fault. Like, it looks all day like a foot fault, and I do not fault my ROs at all for calling that a foot fault. In super slow-mo, the foot is on, and these fault lines are wet and slippery. The foot is on, shot breaks, and the next frame he's slipped off. So, like, in super slow-mo, that is not a foot fault, and I do kind of wish we were allowed to use video evidence for reviews for that sort of thing. Oh well. So yeah, in super slow-mo, not a foot fault. In real life, foot fault. Yep. And that's just how it happens. It kind of annoys me that I wasn't called if there was an argument. It didn't sound like there was an argument. So, kind of okay. And I got to talk to the ROs a little bit about, like, keeping an eye on, like, who's supposed to be doing what in terms of their roles as RO, timer, and tablet. And figure out how that went. Yeah. Okay, last quick topic for this one, RM and match director. When do you get to shoot the match? Because obviously, like, I don't want to work a match that I don't get to shoot. I find, like, shooting is the fun part. I like working as well, but shooting is the fun part for me. So I would like to shoot the match. When do you get to shoot? So, during staff match is a great time to get to shoot. Sometimes you can't because you're building things, you're fixing things. So we started staff on zone 1, and Eric and I, Eric the match director, we were down on zone 2. We were actually building something down here, and then in the other bay we were setting up a swinger that just wasn't set up during the setup, and that's fine. Like, nobody's going to be there for like 3 hours, so we got some time to kill. We can take our time to do it. So we did. And then we went and we shot probably 4 or 5 stages with staff. Okay, so we only shot 5 of 13. So Saturday rolls around, main match is running, there's some ghost squads. So Eric and I kind of just grab our stuff and we kind of just go to a bay that's empty that we haven't shot, and we ask the ROs to run us a few times, and this will happen to you like during my make ready, RM to bay, blah blah blah. Okay, unload and show clear, blah blah blah, put my gun away, and I'm on to the bay. Like, it, as when you get called for a thing, like whatever you're doing, you basically drop it and go handle it. So that was just one of those, like, well, I'll come back and I'll shoot this later. And one of those stages, like, I ended up shooting on Sunday just because I didn't have the time to make it around to that one. So we really just kind of drop in and shoot whenever. So is your mindset important? Absolutely yes. A lot of people talk about staff having like an advantage because you built the match. Bullshit. We're fucking tired, and I have the step counts to prove it. Like, exhausted, tired, like, I want to sit down type stuff, right? So there's no like, oh, I built the match, I got to walk this 15,000 times. I'm not walking stages, I'm building stages. So that's bullshit. So then we're also busy doing other things. Like, we're busy doing RM stuff. I'm busy doing like scoring shit. I had to go do a calibration. I have to go do like something else. So it's really important for you as a staff person, if you're doing RM, MD type stuff, is to be able to compartmentalize. To be able to, like, I'm gonna roll up on this stage, here's my walkthrough, here's my plan, burn it in, let's go. And some people can do it really well. And I'd like to think that I'm one of those people. I've never had a difference in performance between staffing and not staffing a match. I just never felt that anything was different. I'm actually more bored when I'm not staffing a match than when I'm like actually running around. And I think boredom kills me sometimes. So, like, being able to just focus on the one thing that needs to be focused on, performing it, and then moving on is a really important skill. And if you're going to be doing RMing, MDing, any sort of like staffing, stats, and any sort of like staffing for major matches, that is something to just work on. And it also helps that these stages are really simple, in that, like, see targets from here, see targets from here, see targets from here, work out how you're going to do it. Pretty straightforward, but compartmentalizing is very important. Okay, that's it for part 3, 4. I don't even know what we're on right now. Next, I got more stuff to cover, so see you in the next one.